Hey, I'm Ryan, this is my brother Daniel, and this is Rolls in the Family, and we are back for the second installment in our 2024 edition of our top board games of all time. We're going to be counting down number 40 to number 31 today, and we are also going to be giving you another opportunity to get an entry into our drawing for a free board game.
Wow.
You might not have known that when you clicked this video.
Yeah,
that
what a
you
surprise.
are going to get to potentially, win a board game. You won't find out yet.
No.
There is a link in the description to a Google form that you can fill out to get the entry for this video. You can go back to our previous video and also get an additional entry for that video, because each video is going to have a secret word that if you submit that form with that secret word, it'll give you another entry in the contest. You can also read the other details about the contest in the form itself. But to get the entry, you are going to need to know the secret word for this video, which is brain. As in, my brain's feeling a little fried coming to record this video after a day of work.
Wow,
we don't always film in the evenings, but sometimes the schedule calls for it, and we try to, wake up a little bit.
Yeah, this is, you know what, Ryan? We push through for the fans.
We do.
And
it's for the fans.
So yeah, drop brain down below.
Well, don't drop it down below, but drop it on the form.
No,
if you
I also want you to...
if you just do it in the comment, you can. It doesn't. You won't get an entry.
Yeah, so it won't help you with the entry, but it will help the algorithm for our videos. So
true. Yeah. Any comments?
So if you really like us, drop brain down below.
Yeah, drop brain down below. We also include links to all the games we talk about below. Maybe you just can't wait long enough to find out if you're going to win a free one, and you just need to go get that game now. Because we were so persuasive. Those links do help support the channel, though, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And let's see, do we have any other housekeeping stuff here, Daniel, or should we just jump into this thing?
Not that I know of. That's your job. Okay.
Yeah. It's usually, 6 to 10 minutes in, I realize the thing I forgot in the intro, but let's just go to Daniel's number 40.
Let's do it, Ryan. My number 40 is kind of an interesting one for me to talk about, because I just, within the last 2 days, played a different version of this game that I also enjoyed quite a bit. But this one is very popular in the board game world. My number 40 is going to go to Wingspan. So Wingspan actually, Ryan, dropped 18 spots for me. That's we talked last video about board game inflation with new games. That's a little going past the normal droppage here. Actually didn't get a play of Wingspan in the last year. I did get to try Wormspan. That's what I was referring to.
It's always so funny to say out loud if somebody doesn't know anything about it. It is not worms, in fact. It is
the
dragons,
worms rise up against the birds in the new
I would
version.
play that.
I would too. But anyways, yeah, so Wingspan coming in at number 40, and this is one that I just historically have had a ton of success with it kind of fitting that niche of I would almost say like a gateway, a little bit more strategic
kind of a next step game.
Yeah, like maybe you've played Ticket to Ride or stuff like that, and you're wanting kind of that next step up. Wingspan's gone over really well in that situation for me. I personally, this is kind of actually, I feel like a theme maybe in some of these Stonemaier games of simplicity in action choices, of just like you have 4 options. I know that was the case in Scythe so I love when your options are very simple, but then obviously there's a lot of kind of deep strategy around that. It helps the teaching, which is one of the reasons I think Wingspan has gone over really well, is you just kind of walk through the various things that you do. Also, presentation is just beautiful. I mean, that's one thing. I actually think Wingspan, there were a lot of things I really liked about Wormspan, but one thing I personally felt like was the just bird theme, the bird feeder, all of that is even stronger, and one that I think really draws people into the table for this game. So in my collection, filling that role of kind of that gateway step up for people. And so even though, dropping, probably just because Is it my favorite in terms of like the actual strategy, favorite
this
thing?
is your list.
It is my list, but my list also is influenced by how well does it work. Like I get enjoyment of how well does it work for various situations. So that's why it dropped, but still a very fine game at number 40.
Number 40. Nice. My number 40 has dropped 7 spots. It's a pretty like normal, I think, first in this section of the list with new games coming on. But this is probably what I would say is my favorite flip and right game, roll and flip and right, that kind of genre of games. Leans into kind of the spatial filling in polyomino style games, and this is Cartographers. And Cartographers is a game I've played quite a bit. I'm up to, I think, 28 plays of it.
Yeah.
But is one that I find has really, really good replay value, because every time you play, you're going to have 4 objectives for each of the seasons, and I love how you can see all them from the very beginning, and you can be working towards any of them even though you know which 2 are going to score, this season. And so there's kind of this like, ooh, do I use this, this would be really good to help for, the D scoring one, but I don't need it yet. And so I really like that. I like kind of there's a little bit of push your luck with just how you fill things out, like what kind of spaces you leave for yourself. That's like, okay, I'd really have to get like the right thing for this to work. Or even just like, it's variable how long the season is going to last, because each time a card is drawn, it has a time value on it. And once you meet the season's time, then it's up. And so you don't know, like, are we going to get a couple more shapes or just one more shape? And so it just comes together into something that really hits what I want out of like a spatial game, and then the replayability with the different objectives every time it's going to be different. I like that by the end of the game, especially if you're playing on like one of the maps that starts with like the backside of the main map has like a hole in the middle, which I actually kind of like, because I like when these types of games start to feel pretty constraining by the end of it. It just kind of like amps the excitement and how you're going to fit things in.
Yeah, for sure.
And then really the cherry on top for Cartographers is like the flexibility with player counts. Like you can play Cartographers with 2 people, and you can play it with, I've probably played it with close to 12 people and had a great time. Now it's not a party game, so you got to have like, enough people that still want to play kind of a little more
they all
involved
hated
game.
it, but it was great.
But I had a great time. So yeah, one that I am not tiring of at all, and really I see as kind of a staple for me in that genre in my collection. So yeah, that is Cartographers.
Yeah, did I tell you that I snagged that one recently?
I did. I forgot actually. I saw that when I was at your
Facebook
place
Marketplace,
this summer.
saw it there. So yeah, it was one that I felt like good one to add to the collection. Very versatile.
Indeed.
Okay, Ryan, my number 39, I believe, is the biggest jump.
Okay.
And this is substantial. This game is
like missed the list last year.
This game coming in at 39, it moved up 34 spots.
Wow.
I played this game 10 times this year. 10 times recently.
In a short span of time? I have a guess.
Span of time. So and this game, kind of when I first tried it, I was like, I don't know, it didn't grab me at first, but the more and more I played it, I realized this is one of the most accessible games, and I'm more and more really, really liking it. And this is going to Seven Wonders Architects.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's big.
That's a big jump. I mean, and this really stems from our family vacation we just had recently, because you brought it, and your son likes
I've been
playing
a lot with my 4-year-old.
Yeah,
actually.
And when a kid likes a game, you end up playing that one a lot. So we had a lot of opportunities to play Seven Wonders Architects, and I found myself I just wanted to keep playing it. Like would every time you'd say, "Oh, we're playing another game of Seven Wonders Architects," I'd be like, "I'm in," because it's so simple, and yet I just find that decision making of, okay, do I take the card on the right, on the left, or do I draw from the middle? That's just so satisfying. It's a simple but satisfying thing. The tension of, oh, do I do I go for the cat, kind of try to, so I can see what's on the top and whatnot. The different wonders kind of have some different feels to them. I find the military beat is interesting in that game, just with kind of the pacing of it, of how sometimes it can just feel like it's flying and other times it's, very slow to triggering wars. So yeah, it was interesting because I had always thought that Seven Wonders was, I think, based off previous years, I liked it significantly more, and it's flipped for me. And
that's amazing. Actually.
And I'm realizing Seven Wonders Architects is one I just need to get in my collection, because watching it work with your 4-year-old son and work with our mom and work with people who enjoy strategy game, like, there's just very few games that can do that. So the accessibility of it and enjoyment and player count is what had it just absolutely shoot up the list for me to number 39. So
wow.
there
and
go.
We're talking a game that, we were playing these in 15 minutes.
Oh, they fly.
And so that's really like, if you're comparing it to games that can play that quickly, it's like, man, I don't know what else gives quite that. It did not make my top 50. I like it. But it's, I think maybe it's because I've been playing it a lot. Yeah. Let's just say we've gotten some games of Seven Wonders Architects.
Yeah, and here's the deal: a list every year is just the subjective where you're at in the moment.
Yeah, come back next year for when Seven Wonders Architects drops 25 on.
Or is my number one?
Or is his number one?
But when you come off a family reunion of playing it a bunch and having an awesome time, it's like, yeah, okay,
there you go.
There you go.
Cool. My number 39 is a very hard one to rank, and one that feels like it's a little arbitrary and it could really move. Honestly, I think it could go up, but I just haven't been able to play it in its kind of like most real situation yet, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying.
It's the worst analysis you've ever given.
Sorry. This is Arkham Horror, the card game. So this is the living card game. And at this point, I only have the base revised set, and I've only played basically one campaign solo, which is just like a 3-game thing in the base set. Honestly, kind of a demo of the real game. Like, I know what I need to do is get one of the campaign boxes and do one of the full things, which I'll likely do as a solo campaign, though I do, like the idea of doing this as a 2-player thing if I had the right situation to do it. And so I really enjoyed the bit that I interacted with the system, but it does feel very much like I kind of have demoed it, but haven't really dug into it. So with those things in mind, this is kind of where it landed for me for now.
That's pretty high.
But I have always enjoyed these types of games. There's spoiler going to be another LCG higher on my list. But these types of, I enjoy some of the deck building, and Arkham Horror leans even more into the kind of campaign elements of your deck evolving over the course of it. And it's honestly more board game like than some of the other ones, in that, you actually have a token your character out on locations and there's places to move around. So it feels less like just a card game than some of these other ones. And it's a very flexible system. Like, they can do a lot of very creative things with it. So definitely one I'm looking forward to doing more with it. And I'm not like in a huge hurry to, because it is a bit of a time investment to, do one of those campaigns. And I've got some other options right now, but I know I want to, and my experience so far, like, firmly has it in my collection. So we'll see next year if I have the opportunity to have any more data to rank this. But for now, I really have enjoyed my time with it. So it made it to my 39.
Very nice, Ryan. Yeah. That will be interesting. Stay tuned, folks. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
My number 38 is one of my favorite party-ish type games, but you need the right group. But with the right group, it goes exceptionally well. And this is going to go to Decrypto. So I got, it looks like one play of Decrypto this last year. I was trying to think, was that one play our annual family play? Maybe.
Probably.
So I talk about having the right group. we have that kind of with our siblings and spouses
Yeah.
of every year when I think around Christmas when we get together, we get this game of Decrypto. And when you have the right group, man, it just works so well because, this game where you're trying to kind of get your own team to guess, the code of, you have the 4 words in front of you and the code that of which words, the thing gives you. But that whole thing of intercepting the other team makes clue giving just fascinating because it's not just you're thinking about, okay, what words do I write down to get them to guess the things, but you're seeing what the other team is hearing round over round. And so now you're not only thinking about trying to clue give for your own team, you're thinking about how do you throw the other team off. And what's so beautiful about this game and why it's so fun if you have people who are good at it is it just has this incredible build as the game goes on because every round it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe another round. And it gets harder and harder to try to, how am I going to give that feeling when you think you're done and then it somehow gets all the way back to you again and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to give another clue, and you feel like the other team's on your tracks, and so you're like, how am I gonna throw them off? Or it has just some of the most creative clue giving that I've really experienced in a game, and it's such a blast to have that kind of back and forth. It can flop if you don't have the right group or whatnot, but when you get those peak games of Decrypto, it's so good. So
it really is.
So there you go, coming in at my number 38. If all I get is our annual play of it, that'll be good. But a great game.
I'm jumping to my 38, which is a very different type of game than Decrypto. This is a big, epic experience, and it's a big, epic experience that I haven't been able to experience in the last 4 years now, which makes it very difficult to rank this game that I know that I enjoy, but has not made it to the table. One of the most difficult games to get to the table. You got to plan.
You're just not determined enough.
You have to plan. It's not one that accidentally
gets, Ryan.
It takes scheduling a day of Twilight Imperium, specifically the 4th edition. Yeah, it's hard, right? Like, I haven't played it in a long time, and I know that even the last time I played it was probably my weakest game of it because I kind of surprisingly won. Like, people didn't block me very well in the last round, so we kind of didn't get as far into the game as we thought we were going to. So it was a little bit of a, cut short. But it's got a lot of cool stuff going on. And there really still is no other game that, you can schedule a day with 6 people to just have this shared epic experience.
Right.
And the things the new 4th edition has done with streamlining some things, and especially with the, I forget what they call the politics phase where you're voting on these laws or whatever, and the fact that you have to vote 2 of them back to back and you don't know what the second one's going to be, so it's how much of my influence do I put towards this first one, and some of these can change rules for the rest of the game. Just some really cool things going on for that epic space civilization experience. I probably said last year in this video, man, I'll have to make sure I get Twilight Imperium
Just
to the table.
Stop saying it, Ryan.
It didn't happen this last year. I'd like to think I'm going to do it this year. Hopefully I can come back next year saying I got in my play. But yeah, it's one that I do really enjoy. It's dropped really mainly because I haven't played it. And so it's hard for me to know exactly where it stands for me today. But yeah, it still holds. There's nothing else like it in my collection. And I have good memories of the games that I have played.
Yeah, there's few things harder when ranking than when you have a game you haven't played in forever, and especially a game where maybe you have some really amazing past memories, but you haven't played in forever. It's like, do I go off the past memory that was amazing, or I don't know. So that makes sense where it's fallen for you. Very nice. So we're to my 37. 37. Man, this one has just really kind of solidified itself as a staple in our collection. One my wife and I have played a lot together, although may not be playing it together very much anymore for reasons I'll explain. And this is going to go to Splendor. So Splendor was one of the a game that I got, quite a while ago. I mean, it looks like I've played 23 games of Splendor. And Splendor is just such a nice system of, collecting the whole system, collecting gems, buying cards, but then the whole thing that cards, not only can some cards especially higher up, get you victory points, but cards have a basically resource on them that then is discounting future cards. So you're kind of building up an engine to buy future cards. But what I love so much about Splendor is how tight of a race it is. I mean, it's a game where I feel like, man, every action is huge. Like you can't waste a turn because the game always ends with like someone hitting 15 and you being like, I was just short. And so you're kind of looking, at the start of the game at all the cards that are out there and the nobles, and you're kind of like, okay, what's my path? What's the path I'm going to try to go for? But then you also sometimes have to pivot, like if someone's clearly like going for the same thing, or maybe they get there a step ahead, like sometimes it's figuring, okay, well, how do I pivot? And all of that just within such a tight gameplay, it plays, pretty quick, has worked super well. So, obviously I'm not going to be playing it as much 2-player with the addition of Splendor Duel, which we talked about in the last video, one we enjoy as well. But man, this one's just so great, and yeah, it just is a system that my wife and I specifically have really enjoyed. So that is my 37 Splendor.
Nice. Yeah, that one has stayed consistent for you over the years.
Yeah, it well, look at that. It moved up 10 spots. So
look at that. Way to go, Splendor.
Well, how about that?
Good on you.
Good on Splendor. Yeah, I've had so many good games of it, and a lot of different groups that I've introduced it to and have actually gone on to own it, which it's always nice.
Nice.
Hopefully they used our purchase link down below.
Yeah,
went and bought it.
I sure hope so. My 37 falls into a category of games that we've cooled on a lot, and that is campaign games. It's hard to get the same group together and feel like you have this pressure to be getting this specific game to the table versus other ones. This is one though that had the opportunity to play most of a campaign recently. Still waiting to get that final game in of Lord of the Rings: Journeys in Middle Earth. It should happen in the next few months here.
Please.
And this is one that kind of overcame my predisposed opinion of not really wanting to get a campaign game right now. Largely because of the theme. I enjoy the Lord of the Rings theme a lot. Mm-hmm. Largely because it's a very streamlined game. Like, there's a lot of these campaign games that are just a burden to get to the table. I had great fun with my Gloomhaven campaign, but that game is a burden to get to the table with the, it's just got a lot going on. Like, this is a game, Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, that between the simplicity and the components and the app-assisted component of it, really makes it easy to just play. And it's honestly a lighter experience. It leans into kind of the story elements and things like that, but it's got this really just fun deck mechanism of getting you scout cards at the beginning of your turn and decide like which ones do you want to prep, which means you can actually like use the abilities of the cards, which ones do you want to put on top or the bottom of your deck, which ends up whenever you resolve skill checks, you draw cards off your deck to find successes. So, it's like, do I prep this really good card, or do I seed a success on top of my deck so that I know I'll have that? So it's just some fun little things. And then the way that over the course of the campaign, you get to customize that depending on which classes you play that you get experience in those classes and can get upgraded cards, but you're not committed to a class. Like I was doing stuff in the hunter class, but then I can go do things in this other class and kind of do this subclassing thing, which just gives so much variety of how you could choose to build yourself out through the campaign between your character and what classes you play.
That's cool.
And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. We've had a good time with it. I think after we finish this campaign, there's a good chance it's probably going to sit for a bit without getting played a whole lot, because I'm not anticipating starting another one up soon. Though, man, do I have my eye down the road on like when my kids get older. Like it just really is the type of game that could be
Some
a
of the
lot
campaign
of fun.
games are very appealing.
And the whole campaign is something like 12 to 15 games, which isn't of like, hour to hour and a half games, which is pretty manageable. So yeah, it's one that, very good experiences with it, thus far. And definitely like the idea of, being able in the future to, when the season is right for a group to be like, this would be a really good group to do Lord of the Rings campaign with. So yeah, that one is what number are we at? 37. Who knows? Maybe the finale will be so jaw-dropping.
Yeah.
It'll move up.
That's right. My number 36 is my favorite party game. And
you're doing the party game representation so far.
Yeah.
My top one's like just kind of missed my top 50.
Yeah, and I love a great party game, and I love when a party game creates moments of just laughter and just incredible moments. And this game has done it time and time again. And this is going to go to Time's Up Title Recall. This was, man, Ryan, we got this like
a long time ago,
early on in the board game journey. I mean, we've played it. Well, I've played it. It looks like 35 times. I didn't get a play of it this last year. But a game where, you're on a team, you can do teams kind of however you want. Typically, you and a partner. And this whole thing of your kind of 3 rounds, first round, very much just kind of charades, or not charades. Sorry. Catchphrase. There we go.
Yeah.
But then every subsequent round is using the same deck. So you're familiar with the titles, but you're getting more and more limited in your communication. So like the second round, you can only say one word, and then, the rest is just charades from there. And then the last round, you can't say anything. And so what's so amazing about that is there's so many hilarious moments, because something will happen in the first round, and that's maybe a funny thing, or maybe someone messes up, or it can be anything really.
Yeah.
But in future rounds, as communication gets harder, you're looking for anything to easily, jog people's memory, associate the thing. And so oftentimes you will point back to funny things that have happened earlier in the game. So it takes funny moments and then resurfaces them throughout the game in funnier, and it's like funnier and funnier each time. You'll point at a person and reenact what they did or something like that. It has just, we've played it a lot of times, and it has just created tons of moments of laughter. It also is a game, a competitive game in terms of, you're really trying to win, and I think it rides that balance really well, where you are trying to win the game, but it also creates moments of things being funny. And I find there's some party games that it can be hard to write a
lot of them lean more one way or the other.
But because going for winning, like going for the goal, naturally kind of creates funny. You don't have to try to be funny per se, but there's just, in the process, it creates funny things. A lot of great memories with that game. I will play it anytime a group wants to, because it just is
anytime. Next time at your house, I'm gonna wake you up in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night
time's up.
Time's up, buddy.
Time's up, dude.
Oh, jeez. Okay, I take that back. But that's my number 36.
Nice. My next 4 entries kind of fall into a similar space in my collection of kind of the weight and situation. And I honestly had a really hard time ranking these 4. I realized they're all pretty close for me.
Wow.
But I had to rank them. Such are the rules. And so number 36 is going to be the classic Ticket to Ride, a game that we have played just 147 times now. So we've got some experience with Ticket to Ride.
We do.
And it's a game that often is talked about as a good entry game into the hobby. And
Which we would agree with.
Which we would agree with.
Mm-hmm.
But man, is it still a game that I have just never gotten tired of.
I know.
And that system and the tension between the 3 actions and just the different maps and the way it's always a little different depending on your destinations and what other people are doing. It's just, I don't know. I just really enjoy that process and how quick it plays. And I've had so many fun games of it. I feel like every time I talk about it, I use the phrase comfort food because that's really what Ticket to Ride feels like to me now. Is just like, man, I could just always fall back on a game of Ticket to the Ride. It has not gotten played. I got 1 play in this past year, but not gotten played much in recent years. It's not one that a lot of other people I know are like, oh, let's get Ticket to Ride to the table.
Right.
That said, at your house, actually, we had the first experience of playing Ticket to Ride First Journey with my son, and it's like you see the path, right? That's like there's a path that at some point here he's going to be ready for Ticket to Ride, and it could be a new era of getting Ticket to Ride plays in, and can put him in his place, and show that I've still got it, still got the Ticket to Ride. But yeah, this one is held on. It only dropped 1 this year, despite multiple new games passing it. So it's actually kind of gone up.
Yeah.
Always have a good time playing Ticket to Ride. And I don't anticipate, at this point, we're talking coming up probably on 15 years of playing Ticket to Ride. I don't really anticipate my opinion on it changing at this point.
Just played a game on BGA the other day, and it's so good, that it's such good tension, in the action.
Yeah, and I like that the better you get at the game, you shoot more ambitious, so you always keep that tension because you're
it never
defining it
never
for yourself.
gets easy. Yeah. Very nice. My number 35 is a game that I'm not sure the board game world appreciates as much as we do. In fact, I guarantee you that is not the case. Dropped 10 spots for me, but is one that is still near and dear to both of our hearts. And this is going to go to Dungeon Fighter. Ryan and I actually both now own the collector's edition of Dungeon Fighter, but started with just original Dungeon Fighter. And, we enjoy a good dexterity game.
We do.
That's something. And I will recognize not everyone does enjoy dexterity. But this one, it's kind of this silly dexterity dungeon crawler where you are fighting the monsters by throwing dice. Cooperative, by the way. You're throwing dice at a target, and the awesome thing about it is both the monsters and even the weapons that you use can cause you to do funny shots, and so you're throwing dice between your legs, you're below the table. Just a lot of crazy things, but man, has this game worked well. Shockingly accessible. Like we've, I think both of us kind of know how to run kind of the whole just dungeon side of it, but in terms of someone just stepping in, like it's just like, hey, know a couple abilities on your thing and then throw a die. Yeah,
I've definitely had games where there's like the people that don't want to understand most of how anything's working, but they can still play and have a good time because when it's their turn, it's like you're picking one of these dice and this is the shot you gotta do. But then I'll see other people in the same group that are like, ooh, that's cool with all the items. And the people that want to kind of dig into that
these
really
items,
enjoy
and
that.
If we do this and then so we've played Dungeon Fighter over and over, and it's one that I think just is firmly solidified in our collections because it's so different from anything else that we have. And so The collector's edition, I think we both would say, is fantastic. If you like Dungeon Fighter, my goodness, this is a worthwhile collector's edition because all of the stuff it adds is just variability that is actually
if you're gonna play the game,
a lot,
really nice.
like it just adds tons of fun, crazy stuff that you actually are using in it. So the second edition is great. They made a lot of good revisions kind of with how the dungeon system works and stuff. So, Ryan, we will continually recommend to people. May not be the highest rated one on Board Game Geek, but one that we've enjoyed a lot. So that's my number 35.
Nice. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people that haven't tried Dungeon Fighter
that would really like
Dungeon
I agree.
Fighter. We'll just keep talking about it on the channel. My number 35 is new to the list. And this is one that I was waiting on to come for a long while. Bit of a splurge. And
that's an understatement.
Was kind of but was very intrigued by just the simplicity of the gameplay, but having kind of some hidden depth, but also having kind of a game that has that exciting wow factor, but is really accessible. Because a lot of times the wow factor correlates more with these really complex games.
Yeah.
And I now have had the opportunity to play this game, 6 times. And this is Foundations of Rome. And this one is going to be divisive for people. There's going to be a lot of people in the camp of this is ridiculous how expensive this game is because of how all the plastic pieces and stuff. And I tend to be a gameplay first gamer, though I think we've evolved over the years to more and more appreciate a good presentation. But oftentimes if I have the choice between a really deluxeified version and a normal version, I'm totally fine with the normal version. In this case, there wasn't a normal version at the time. They've since made a Foundations of Metropolis. But I have to say, it is a game that presentation elevates the experience.
Oh, absolutely.
And I've so seen with people I've played it with, just how much everybody enjoys seeing this 3D version of Rome build up before our eyes. And it's just, it's very satisfying to be, moving these chunky pieces and stuff. So I do actually really like that. And I think I would, especially now that I've played it, would have a hard time going to a non-deluxeified version of it. That said, it is really, for me, the gameplay that powers this one up my list.
Yeah.
And it is simple. It's this simple. You either take money, you buy a deed card, or you use deeds you have to build something on the board. But the way you're kind of positioning yourself on the board to try to, take advantage of how you're adjacent to other people and what they're doing, is just a lot of very interesting decisions that is then elevated hugely, I think, by these overbuilding rules that you can build over things you've already built as long as you've built bigger. Because now it isn't just, what do I build out, adjacent, but what could I switch and change to maybe, hurt other players and help me and reposition myself. And I've been very impressed by the depth of creative plays you can make in this game to better position yourself. And all of this being a game that plays in, 60 to 90 minutes, depending on player count and how new people are. It's one I've really enjoyed so far. It feels different than a lot of other games I have at this weight. My desire to kind of get it to the table has only really gone up since I've had the opportunity to play it. I'm looking forward. I have the Roads of Fortune expansion, but I haven't played it yet because it's definitely one I think I'd like to play with people who have played, at least once. But I really like what that looks like it's going to add to the table. So far I would say it has been a hit, everything I wanted it to be in the collection, but it's new and fresh and shiny. So, we'll give it a year and see, where is it next year? Does it move up? Does it move down? It wouldn't be, we've definitely had examples of flashes in the pan, right? Games that we were really excited about and then just fall off for us, which is why we really like doing this annually and
right.
You get to kind of see the proof is in the pudding of what happens over time.
Right.
So we'll see with Foundations of Rome.
Yeah. Is it just the beautiful components, or can the gameplay keep it going? That's the question, Ryan.
That's the question.
My number 34 speaking of games that are hard to rank because we haven't played them in forever and we have such great past memories, but it's like, what do you even do now? This one is just a prime example of that. Played it 96 times, but I'm not sure I've played it in the last like 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years. And yet one that I think back on and I so just want to play it again because gosh, it's just so many great memories and so much variability and wild things that can happen. This goes to Cosmic Encounter. This is one that I'll even like see it pop up on Facebook Marketplace and I'll be like tempted for a moment because I'm like, I love this game, but also how am I gonna play this? Or I don't know. You would need to find
like
the right
a fresh group that you think would like it,
which would be fun if you had the right group. Because this game has, this whole system of you've got your ships on your planets, and to win the game, you get 5 colonies on other people's planets, and so it's a game full of just like attacking, negotiating alliances, because you can invite people on the attack and the defense. It's just tons of above the table type interaction.
And hidden cards. Like a lot of you don't know what people have.
So it's very group dependent. Like, oh my gosh, this game could be really not good if you didn't have a good group. It's wildly great. It'd honestly be really boring, I feel like, if you had a bad group. But then you add on top of that there are just all of these aliens that just have game-breaking powers. I mean, ones that you get it, and at the start of the game you get to choose, between 2, and it's like, oh my gosh, I get to do that. That kind of feeling of and then you mix together, it's kind of this mixing pot of, in this game we've got these 5 aliens. What's the interaction going to be like? That's what's really cool about this game, and the variability of it is every game is unique because it's the combination of the aliens interacting together. It has its flaws of sometimes it can fall into a little bit of the first half of the game is just people negotiating to get onto colonies, and sometimes doesn't always deliver the high that it can. But man, it has the potential to, and we've played it a ton and have many, many memories of this one just absolutely knocking it out of the park. So yeah, who knows how long it'll hold on, because I have no idea when I'll play this one again. Yeah. but it's my number 34.
Who knows? Maybe sometime you'll be in town. Maybe some of our other core Cosmic folks will be in town, and we could make it happen. We could, but good old Cosmic. Lots of memories. My number 34, another game falling into kind of this medium weight, shorter games, and one that really leans into just continuous exciting moments. It's just like you get, I don't know, there's no downtime, because every turn you're either getting from what you are rolling or the results that other people are rolling. This is Space Base. And it's just, I mean, we like dice, generally speaking.
I'm a fan.
And this game is all about customizing what rewards you're going to get based on the die roll. And it's a very clever thing with how, like, you can either take the dice together or separate to activate 2 or 1 column, but the combined ones tend to be better rewards. But then whatever you're customizing for your turn, you're also determining what things are going to trigger on other people's turn. In what is ultimately a race, you need to be trying to move towards getting victory points, which is either going to come from getting enough money that you're buying those like set victory point cards that then block one of your spots, or actually getting cards that produce victory points and getting those to trigger. And there's a lot of just like clever, like there's a lot of different cards with different abilities that kind of just keep it interesting, like different cards that you can charge. And once you get charges, you can do this special effect or modify something. So you can maybe go for a strategy that's less likely because you've gotten some ways to mitigate it and make it more likely. So this is one that I just really, really enjoy every time I play. I actually played some recent games on Board Game Arena, which, you lose there's something about rolling physical dice and like that experience that's lost. That said, you do gain a little bit in just like, man, those games fly really quickly. And so you can kind of get the space-based experience in a small package. But yeah, one I've had a really good time with. I'm excited to check out the Genesis expansion, which is them finally doing what I said they should do all along with expansion, which is just give me more cards, just more cards with more. I don't need new systems or anything. I just want more, cards for variability, which sounds like exactly what they did.
Yeah.
So I will probably pick that up at some point. But yeah, I guess it dropped 8 spots, but I wouldn't read too much into that. I feel like my opinion has held pretty much the same on Space Base.
Very nice. Jumping over now to my number 33. One that I actually ended up acquiring recently. I haven't actually played it since acquiring it. Played your copy and realized this is the definitive version of a game that we have enjoyed for a long time before that. And this is going to go to Last Bastion. Another one that isn't too hyped in the board game world, but man, Ryan and I loved Ghost Stories. We had Ghost Stories and played it for long time, and just had so many great experiences with the Ghost Stories system. And then ultimately, through various things of got the White Moon expansion to Ghost Stories. We're kind of like, I don't know if that's actually like, kind of what it's adding and whatnot. But long story short, got into Last Bastion, and I think just the changes are excellent. It's just feels so refined. The various locations feel a lot more impactful that, in Ghost Stories would sometimes fall into like the same 3 or 4 locations for everything, where it's all 9 feel big, and they're even very, because you don't use isn't there an extra one? So they're even I think
that's a good question.
I want to say you it's even a little bit of randomization of what 9 you have, which is kind of fascinating. But man, we love cooperative games, and this one takes a lot of what we love about like a big game like an Eldritch or something like that, of like the rolling dice, figuring out who's gonna go where, and just shrinks it down into kind of this quicker experience that can really ramp us into that, kind of exciting moments quickly. So gone over really well, and one that I'm hoping, I'm really wanting this next year to get to the table, because I got it, so I should probably play it. Yeah. So,
and you seem to like it.
And I seem to like it, so I suppose I should play it. There you go. Nice.
Yep, just a good, solid in that medium weight co-op game that has exciting die rolling. The final entry in my aforementioned 4 games in a row that were kind of similar. So I guess this is the one that came out on top, at least this year. Is the Quacks of Quedlinburg. This is a game that we have been pretty big fans of. We've talked pretty highly about Quacks and just how well it's gone over. I've played it 45 times, which is like, that's quite a bit.
That's pretty good.
Given that, we've only had it for it's probably like 6 years now or something like that. But man, just as far as like taking kind of pure push your luck and combining it with bag building, where you can, buy and customize your strategy with these ingredients. It's a great combination, and I think it's just executed so well here. You get the simultaneous play of everybody building their potions and you wanting your chips to come out in a good order to trigger different things you're going for, and how much do you push it, because you're only going to get either points or money if you bust. Add in that every round there's one of those fortunes, which is just kind of like a fun shared thing around the table. A lot of times they're really good.
Double rats.
And then every round you or every time you play, you're going to mix up the ingredient powers so they can do different things, and you can kind of find different combos. It's maybe gone down. I guess it dropped. Let's see here. Dropped 4. I think it's kind of slid slowly over the years, probably just because I've played it a lot. Yeah. So like any novelty factor there has worn off. Gone. But it has showed staying power, and it's one that I'm not tired of playing by any means.
Yeah.
And so it just, I don't know. There's not really anything else that I have that's like it. I've even had good experiences playing with more than the 5 player count by teaming up in pairs. I've played a big 10-player game.
Yeah.
That was great fun because each pair is talking about which, their strategy of what to get and which should we stop. So one that really has solidified itself as a staple in kind of this family weight game in my collection. And I anticipate it kind of holding on here. Like I said that basically for all 4 of these games in a row. Ticket to Ride, Foundations of Rome, Space Base, Quacks are all very close for me. But we'll see if that pattern holds in the future.
We'll see. My number 32 now is a game that dropped 11 spots, and this one's just going to be the tragedy of Daniel watching it drop because no one will play it with him. And this is going to go to Aeon's End.
Man.
I love Aeon's End. It takes like what I loved about Dominion, deck building, turns it into a cooperative experience, and also takes a little bit of actually what I love about like a Last Bastion or something of like delivering, leading to these exciting finishes, and it just brings it all together. And there's so much variability. There's, I love this game. I just don't get to play it. Like, I haven't just found, that person that I can play this one with yet. I think technically you could play it solo, but I haven't really explored that.
I would play it with you, dang it. It's always hard when I come. There's usually a lot of games we're looking to
we always want
to
to try the new ones, but
but
this is one that I'm going to keep in my collection because the times I've played it, I'm like, I love this game. This is so much fun. So I have it and the War Eternal expansion, so I've got a lot of content to check out, but it'll stay at my number 32 for now.
I'll just start laying the groundwork with your kids so that,
I know. Well, I will say that is some of the time, sometimes games stay in the collection because you're thinking future here, Ryan.
Yeah, roles in the family.
Yeah.
Playing the long game here.
Playing the long game, folks.
Yeah, stay subscribed to the channel to hear later when we lament that none of our children actually like board games.
Don't speak such things into existence.
Yes, there's no way.
There's no way.
You must, or you're gonna lose your privileges. My number 32, game I've had for a long time, a game that it's a shame that this game isn't in print anymore and isn't
Ryan,
available.
shame was the word for the last video.
That was the word for the last video. Dang it, now they don't even have to go watch that one.
None.
This is one that, despite being such a big presentation, is actually a pretty accessible game, is a pretty funny cooperative game, honestly. This is Mechs versus Minions. And this is one I know Daniel actually managed to find a copy for a reasonable price, which is not easy to do.
Not easy to do.
Yes,
that was the reason I bought it.
And it's like, man, we so would highly recommend this game, like if it was available. Such a great presentation at the time when it was being sold. It was being sold for so much cheaper than you would have expected because it was made by Riot Games, who makes League of Legends. So that this was a little side project that didn't need to be all that profitable because they were very profitable off their video games. But such a fun game of drafting these cards that you then use to program your mechs, but you keep all the cards from previous rounds. You're constantly building up this programming row of what your mech is going to do, and you can kind of like overwrite certain actions, but then you're getting more powerful versions of actions as you stack them up. And there's only 12 different cards in the game, so pretty quickly people are kind of familiar with the different cards, which really does help that drafting phase when, because the drafting phase is timed. And so it helps that people kind of like start to just know the cards, and there's not like, oh, I need to read it. And then you play different scenarios, and they're fun the different ways they work. You often have this feeling of just like, how are we going to do this with how overwhelming all the minions and everything are? Like, there are so many minion miniatures that you could have on the board, but you escalate and scale up as you're, building up more of these things. And I just love the funny moments that come out of it, because you're never quite doing exactly what you want to
No.
do, but like you're making it work and working with other people. And like actually, if you ran into me, that would be good because it would push me the one I need to do this thing.
Using damage is
and
one
then
of
the fact that
funniest things.
damage in the game is often drawing random things that slot and malfunction. It just really is a blast. Like I've had such good experiences. Cooperative games have that element in general, being able to really just bring together a group for this shared experience. But this one does it in just such a fun way of combining funny entertaining with also like strategy. Like how are we going to work together to do this? One that I still, however many years later, have still not played all 10 scenarios that are in it.
Yeah.
Because the scenarios are very replayable, and I've replayed a bunch of them, and like I don't mind waiting. And if I have a group that's played it quite a bit, like we actually could open a new scenario. So excellent game. Always sad to rave about a game that you as the viewer probably would have a hard time acquiring, but if you do
Keep
find
your eye
yourself in a
open on the
situation,
secondhand market.
you could get it at a reasonable price. We very much enjoy Max vs. Minions.
We do. All right, okay, Ryan, we're bringing it home here. Number 31, new game. We actually get a new game in my 40-31 here.
Here we go.
And this is one that really kind of, it's gotten some surge in popularity, I know, in the board game space recently. And for me, this was one that really just piqued my interest around delivering kind of on this mechanic that I love of polyomino games, and this is going to go to World Wonders.
Wow.
This one I've got to play it 4 times in the last year, and at all different player counts, 2-player all the way up to 5-player. We just got in recently, and I think
you must be really well informed then on evaluating this game.
I'm ready to give a very well informed opinion on it. No, this one, I really love what it's doing here because it, one, delivers the crunchy polyomino experience that I was wanting, and that it needed that. You were talking a little bit earlier of what you look about the middle in cartographers.
Yeah,
we love when it's like, okay, how am I going to fit everything together? And so it's definitely got that experience. It's got this exciting, I mean, obviously the wonders are just visually awesome, and the whole just how it looks is really great.
I love that they went with the wood aesthetic.
Yeah, it's
I
really
feel like
nice
plastic gets like all the attention these days. I love some good wood components.
No, for sure. I think they look really nice, and there are things that feel so awesome when you get it. And when you can fit it into your grid, and then you got to figure out how you're going to surround things around it and whatnot. So just a really crunchy polyomino experience. The whole, you have 7 coins and figuring out what actions to take, and taking a wonder is using the rest of your coins. So you have the tension of ideally I could wait till the end and spend 1 coin to get one of the wonders, but someone might take it. And so there's just a lot of kind of wrestling between that and getting the other kind of buildings out there. So much in here that I've really, really enjoyed. I'm excited to check out the expansion that they have. I think looks really great. And it's just going to add more wonders, maybe even add some more interesting ways of scoring them, which I think is maybe one thing it could really improve on. So one that, we've enjoyed a lot. And for a new game coming in at number 31, not too shabby, eh?
Nice. Yeah. That's a big showing in its first year.
I know.
Go World Wonders. I will bring us home here with my number 31, which is again has dropped 10 spots, which actually is that's a drop. It's a double-digit drop. It probably was a little bit. It was probably a little higher than it should have been because it was newer. So it's probably settling now, as these games tend to do.
Plummeting.
But we're still talking 31 and ahead of a lot of games I've talked about already that I enjoy a lot. This is going to be Res Arcana. Dango and I have a long history of experience with Race for the Galaxy, which is by designer Tom Lehman, who also makes Res Arcana. And I think a lot of it shows kind of the DNA of, he likes making these tight card games with combos and engine building. But Res Arcana that's hard to say. Res Arcana kind of leans more into the like concept of resources. So there's actually like resource tokens as you get these essence things that you use for paying things. And so a lot of the engine is producing these things and then using them to play other cards. But man, is this game just boiled down to its essence. Yeah, that's a thing in the game.
Oh, Ryan, you're on your game right now.
Yeah, man, firing on all cylinders right now. What time is it? So the fact that you only get 8 cards, like any other game like this is usually like a big deck of cards that you're going to be getting all kinds of cards from this. But this says, no, we're going to give you 8 cards. And it's best if you draft these at the beginning. And that's it. That's what you're going to use for the whole game. And it becomes this little mini puzzle of how do I best use these to race, to the point total. And you're probably not going to be playing all of them because you can discard a card to get essence. And so a big part of the game is like, okay, these are my cards. What's the most important thing for me to play? Could I maybe discard this to power me to get this card out sooner? Your deck will cycle. You'll see it again. But playing well in this game is so much about knowing when to discard cards for resources so that you can go faster on things instead of holding them and hoping you'll be able to play them in the future.
Yeah.
And then I just love, it's got the variety of which places of power are out. And then you always are drafting those magic items in any given round, which is kind of like, what's the one power that'll kind of fill in what I need this round. And I've just really enjoyed it. It's just a fun little distilled engine building puzzle. And just every game getting to draft those 8 cards and know the 8 cards you're going to have. I have both of the first expansions for it that are both hard to pronounce, so I'm not going to try. The fiery one and the pearl one. And I like all of what was added in those. And, more card variety in a game where you're only getting 8 cards. Having a little bit more card variety is hugely increasing kind of the permutations of what you could have in any game. So one that I really do enjoy a lot, and that is Res Arcana.
Hey, thanks for watching. As we mentioned, we've got links to all of these fine games that we talked about today down in the description below if you want to check them out for yourself. Purchasing them supports the channel and we greatly appreciate it. We also have a link to the next video in our series here, 30 through 21. So we will see you in the next one.